Breaking right now, Prince Harry facing horrifying new allegations after claims a pregnant woman was, quote, trampled on and then lost her unborn baby at his scandal-plagued African Parks Conservation Project. Now, Harry, Mr. Humanitarian, still hasn't spoken out about this. I want to take you through the horrifying new report from Newsweek, then we'll get reaction from Brittany, the editor of the Royal News Network. So, some background. The Duke of Sussex was previously president of the non-governmental organisation before being promoted to its board in 2023. He is still on the board. Baka tribespeople in the Republic of Congo say African park rangers have raped and tortured them, leading to the organisation launching an investigation. Now, this scandal first became public in 2024, but was raised with Harry by campaign group Survival International before that point. According to Newsweek, the new allegations have since come to light over an incident that took place after African Parks called in Omnia Strategy, a law firm established by Cherie Blair, she's the wife of the former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, to conduct the probe. Survival International, which campaigns for Indigenous people, said it was told by Baka tribespeople that a group of women had been promised a meeting with management about the destruction of crops by elephants. Paul Renault, who works on the organisation's conservation campaign, told Newsweek the members of the community had an appointment with a high-level African Parks manager, and the person wasn't there, so the woman started to complain. The eco guards refused to let them stay and forced them to leave by whipping them and beating them, which led to a woman being actually trampled on and losing her baby. Now, this is what African Parks has said to Newsweek. Odzala Ecogargs reported the alleged incident in May 2024. African Parks immediately shared this information with Omnia. As a result, it is subject to their ongoing independent investigation. African Parks has committed to respond to Omnia's finding of the conclusion of the investigation, which we now expect in early 2025. This shows the violence is still ongoing, even though it's turned into an international scandal, Renault says.
All right, folks. This is absolutely horrifying. Reports are coming in that a pregnant woman was trampled after being beaten by African Park Rangers, an organization where Prince Harry sits on the board. And yet, he's completely silent. The women were promised a meeting with African Parks management to discuss their crops being destroyed by elephants. But when the manager didn't show up, rangers violently forced them to leave. One woman was trampled, lost her baby, and suffered horrific injuries. How on earth is Prince Harry not addressing this immediately? He's all about saving the world, yet his own charity is at the center of this nightmare. Let's get one thing straight. Harry is not just a celebrity supporting this cause. He is on the board of African Parks, meaning he has a duty to address this.
Now, honestly, Brittany, this is the most revolting scandal. It suggests there is an attempt to cover up the initial allegations. A woman has lost her baby. There have even been previous accounts of a ranger leading a woman into the rainforest and raping her as she held her baby. And we're just meant to accept that Prince Harry still remains on the board of this organisation. What a hypocrite he is. This is disgusting. And he has not said a word, Brittany, not one word.
You're so right, Dan. It's this case that has continued to go on is just insane, especially for Harry and Meghan, who I feel like always seem to claim to uplift the downtrodden, but they seem to only be attached to the elites, because Harry is the whole sort of system around African parks, at least the upper echelon, are elite people, because part of what they do is they have these parks and then they allow conservation in addition to some hunting. And so Harry's a part of that. And so he's dealing with all these upper people. He went to New York and he schmoozed with people on behalf of African parks. But when it comes to these incredibly vulnerable women and communities, he has nothing to say. How can you have nothing to say? How can you not be demanding more investigation into this, because it seems to me very much that he's sort of like out of mind, out of sight. If he doesn't see it, maybe it doesn't happen or something. But it just seems absolutely deplorable that he is not pushing this further and not distancing himself from this organization, because there's clearly some sort of problem going on there. And he just comes across as seeming to not care. And unfortunately, it is hard to get some of this information to light because of sort of the remoteness of this region. But I think it deserves a deeper investigation. And I think if Harry's going to continue to associate himself with African parks, then he needs to be somebody who's addressing and asking these questions publicly and demanding these investigations, rather than just sitting there in silence while these women and communities suffer at the hands of allegedly African park rangers.
I know. But the thing is, he's not just still a part of this organization, Brittany. He is actively promoting it without having dealt with these horrendous allegations. I mean, according to Taz posted on this is horrific. Yet Harry has not only continued on the board of directors, but was still promoting the organization in New York the other month. How can Harry call himself a humanitarian? And that's the thing. He is still actively promoting the organization. What gives? How is he getting away with this? I mean, some of the threats, by the way, made against these people are just revolting. And also, it's not just women being subjected to sexual violence. A man who was interviewed by the Mail on Sunday, Brittany, described being cuffed, whipped with a belt, and having his head forced underwater. So it really does appear like widespread torture has been taking place. Human rights abuses, everything that you would think Prince Harry cared about.
And here's the kicker. Harry knew about these abuses last year. Survival International warned him about what was happening. And what did he do? Nothing. People are rightly asking, how can he preach about human rights and conservation, yet stay silent when his charity is involved in horrific violence? Harry, you claim to be a humanitarian. So where are you? Where is your outrage? Where is your demand for justice? And of course, now that this scandal is blowing up in the media, African Parks has announced an investigation.
Exactly. You would think he would be on his, utilizing the megaphone that him and Meghan have to really call attention to this. And as one of the leaders of this organization, really be bringing this to light. Instead, he looks like he's part of the cover up. I mean, there's not really another way to look at it. And even the US media, and I believe it was even Newsweek, who has been following this story, it seems quite closely, talked about how when it came to the African Parks events, the media was barred from attending because they didn't want questions about this, which means they know it's an issue. Why do you not want transparency when you know there's a problem? So I believe they are fully aware of this problem, but don't really want to address it. And Harry is just there, and he's just, I don't know, you could say looking for a paycheck. I have no clue what their arrangement is, so I can't really say. But it just doesn't seem like he is pushing this issue. And I've been to remote regions of Africa, and unfortunately, it is the case sometimes, depending on how remote it is hard to get this information out about these sorts of abuses. So again, Harry, with the megaphone that he has, can be calling attention to this and can be trying internally to change African parks. But instead, he's just going along with the party line, and he's looking complicit in what they're doing. And I think that is something he should absolutely address, but I don't think he wants to. And again, it calls into question his position as an alleged humanitarian. He's trying to be a philanthropist, and yet at the same time, he is allowing perhaps, or sort of excusing, you could say, the abuse of women in a local community there in the DRC.
I mean, can we now just say that Prince Harry is the biggest humanitarian hypocrite in the world? Because to me, Brittany, this extends to all of his so-called charitable, that word, can't get it out today, his charitable endeavors. Look at Travelist, for example, where he's encouraging us mere mortals to travel responsibly when he flies constantly across America in private jets.
He is a massive hypocrite on multiple levels. And you just see this throughout both him and Megan. They're just both so hypocritical on how they approach everything. They say one thing and they always seem to do another. They tell people to do one thing and then they do the other. Like he excused his whole extensive private jet use, going, well, I need to protect my family. So, like, don't look at it, ignore it. But it's like the whole thing with travel is that it's trying to make you feel guilty for even, maybe having a first class or a business seat compared to economy. Like it's sort of crazy how they approach it. And I just look at Invictus Games as well, when it's so sad to see it go from being about veterans to being about Harry. It's become the Harry show. And then when Megan's there, the Megan and Harry show, because it becomes all about her fashion and any sort of narrative you could say, or the stories of these veterans and what they've experienced just get completely buried. Just like this, he's continuing to promote this organization and either allowing by just ignoring it, or just the sheer hypocrisy of not really caring, allowing this story to be buried and not be investigated fully. And I just think, again, if he wants to have this position as a humanitarian, then he must uplift everyone. He can't just uplift the people who are giving him a paycheck. If he's really a true humanitarian and philanthropist, then they need to actually support the people who do not have a voice. And that just seems to be the exact opposite of not only what he's doing, but what Megan's doing as well. You even notice with Megan's investments, it's all with, you could say, middle class to upper middle class women who already have successful businesses that she's kind of grabbing onto. And so they're not really uplifting the small business that really needs that little bit of cash to go forwards. And so they just seem to only want to associate with the elites and sort of leave everybody else by the wayside.
But let's be real. Is this just damage control? If African Parks really cared, why did it take this long? Why did Harry ignore this last year? This isn't leadership. This is a PR scramble. Let's be honest, Harry is probably hoping this will blow over. But I have news for him, it won't. And here's where things get really interesting, because the public is furious. This isn't just a minor controversy. This is a massive credibility crisis for Harry. His whole image is based on caring about people. But when it actually matters, he's nowhere to be found.
Indeed, and the thing is, can we just remember that it was January 2024, so we're talking 11 months ago now, that these women begged Prince Harry to intervene. So there you go. It says a lot, doesn't it? But let's move on to something more positive. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has posted this really emotional letter, which is going to be given to all of the gifts at her very special carol service this year. And I thought it would just be really nice, Brittany, for us to actually read through this letter, because I think this means a lot to Catherine. She's put a lot of thought into this. So she writes, "Dear guest, I am so delighted that you're able to join this carol service. I wanted to write and share my heartfelt thanks for all that you have done to provide comfort and hope to those who need it the most. Christmas is one of my favourite times of year. It is a time for celebration and joy, but it also gives us the opportunity to slow down and reflect on the deeper things that connect us all. It is when we stop and take ourselves away from the pressures of daily life that we find the space to live our lives with an open heart, with love, kindness, and forgiveness. So much of what the Christmas spirit is all about. The Christmas story encourages us to consider the experiences and feelings of others. It also reflects our own vulnerabilities and reminds us of the importance of giving and receiving empathy, as well as just how much we need each other in spite of our differences. Above all else, it encourages us to turn to love, not fear. The love that we show ourselves and the love we show others. Love that listens with empathy, love that is kind and understanding, love that is forgiving, and love that brings joy and hope. It is this love which is the greatest gift we can receive, not just at Christmas, but every day of our lives. Love is the light that we can shine bright even in our darkest times. We all have something we can offer one another. gentle words or a receptive ear, an arm around an exhausted shoulder, or silently being by someone's side. Across the United Kingdom, there are so many inspiring people embracing those in need. They have provided comfort, counsel, and connection, and above all else, they have shown that love unites and strengthens us all. This carol service is a heartfelt celebration of every one of you and a reminder that at Christmas and throughout the year, we must all shine for each other, because in times of joy and sadness, we are all each other's light. I wish you and your loved ones a very Merry Christmas. Personally signed, Catherine, Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales. And Brittany, such a deeper meaning, I think, to that letter. When you look at everything Catherine has gone through this year, when you look at all of the criticism that she was facing in the early part of the year, when people did not realize that she was secretly waging a war against the cancer that was ravaging her body.
The question is this the moment that finally destroys his humanitarian reputation? Because at this point, people are done with his hypocrisy. Is this charity work just another royal vanity project? Because right now, Harry's silence speaks volumes. So here's the big question. Is Prince Harry's humanitarian brand finished? Because right now, it looks like a total fraud. If Harry truly cares, he needs to speak out now. No PR spin, no silence. He needs to demand justice. Otherwise, his humanitarian career is done. People are already saying Harry should resign from African parks. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this scandal forces him out. Because if this doesn't wake people up to who he really is, I don't know what will.
Yes, it's a beautiful letter. I think very much comes from her heart. And as you go through an experience like that, you do lean on the people around you. You do find love and joy in the most surprising of circumstances. And you do need that hope and light to really bring you through those trying times. It's not easy. My family has been through a similar circumstance. And I can tell you that that first Christmas after the family crisis was definitely a Christmas to remember. And it was one that we really cherished more. And I think that's Catherine's heart this year, is just wanting to cherish this time with her family, her extended family, and really the people of Britain as well, and showing them that she is doing well, she's doing better, not perfect, but slowly beginning to recover and get her strength back, trying to figure out this new reality that they have in their life, because cancer does make you sort of refocus and rethink where your priorities are, where your future lies. And so I think this will be a really wonderful Christmas carol concert. I think people will just find immense joy in it. Maybe we'll get a surprise or two. Maybe another Catherine piano solo would be pretty amazing. So looking forward to seeing how it all comes together. And I think it'll just be a wonderful moment for the country to just see her doing so well and enjoying a holiday that is very special to her and her family.
Indeed, it really does feel like Catherine has come of age this year, and it's not a surprise, but there's more of a confidence in her, because I think in the past she would have been nervous to write a letter quite so personal, quite so full of advice to others, but cancer changes people, and we hope, in Catherine's case, it will change her for the better for many decades to come. Brittany, so great to have you. Great to have you in London too.
Yes.
What are you here for?
So I'm here for a couple of different things, but my plans might change, because the next couple of weeks there'll actually be 5 different state visits between various royal households. So you have this one with the UK and obviously Qatar, then you have Belgium and
Yes, they
Oman,
arrived
you have
today.
Denmark and Egypt, Netherlands and Portugal, and I believe Spain and Italy as well. So a lot of state visits going on. But yes, I will be here and trying to be at the Royal Mall tomorrow for the procession down to the palace with the carriages, hoping to spot Catherine. I may attend the Christmas concert, but I've asked to see if maybe I can get credentials in Denmark for that state visit, because all of them tend to overlap. We also have the Nobels next week. So just a lot of
Goodness
royal
me.
events going on,
Well,
and just like
it's
many
gonna,
countries. So
yeah,
very
it's going to
exciting.
be must watch over on the Royal News Network.
Yes,
But it is
yes.
so brilliant to have you here on Outspoken, and we will
Yes.
speak next week. Enjoy London.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Brittany.
Alright folks, that's it for today's reaction. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more no BS commentary, and let's get the conversation going. Should Prince Harry resign from African parks? Is his silence proof that he's just a royal fraud? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.